and my beautiful bride, Chantel. Glad she's here with me. She's driving this morning. I always love hearing from her and getting her side of it. That's why we do the Amish. We are the Amish Matchmakers. We help Amish singles to find godly spouses, create epic marriages, and develop a legacy that is rooted in faith, freedom, and above all else, love. Love is the key. And this morning I was talking about the importance of communication. That's often a topic we talk about. But one of the things I want to talk about is speaking to build, not to bruise. All right. Not harsh, but calm and confident, tone of voice. Listen to connect. And we clarify to strengthen. And we repair to protect. And epic relationships are not built on perfect people. They're built on skillful communication. And I want to get Chantel's feedback on this because communication is always what we deal with and work with, and how we communicate matters. So what are your thoughts, Chantel, on the importance of communication and the tone of voice and those things, and even working in relationships and helping people in communication? How important is this tone of voice and things like that for calmness?
Well, you just talked about it, but the I would say it's a, a posture of, you know, do we want people to be on the defense, or do we want people to feel safe? So I think that's the biggest difference. Our tone of voice and how we're communicating can really make the difference between um, how people receive what we're saying. Um, we oftentimes, our heart's intentions are good, but the how sometimes jacks us up and causes people to receive it as a negative. So, people feel judged or criticized, or um, in the how. So I think that's where it's important to be intentional and diligent with the how, and recognizing how do we want it to feel um, for the other person.
So good. Tell me more about that in the sense of even what it looks like to have a healthy conflict, right? Because conflict is good. Conflict's beneficial. It makes us stronger. Uh, but how can it be beneficial? Because we know that arguments and fights can turn into chaos and drama and death and destruction, obviously, ultimately. But they can also be beneficial. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that and how it becomes beneficial.
Well, it's beneficial when we are communicating. So people avoid communicating because of the fear of conflict,
Wow, true.
right? So all it is communication. Again, it goes back to the how. It can either be conflict or it can be communication. And we get to choose what that looks like and feels like, within that communication. But communication brings intimacy. It causes people to enter into a deeper level of relationship when we're willing to share our feelings, when we're willing to be vulnerable. And also, simultaneously, it's not just about us sharing our feelings, it's about, creating the space for the other person as well. So it can't be one-sided. It has to be a mutual space of communication, and um, where two people feel seen, heard, and understood. And I want to be clear that understanding is not the same as agreement. So a lot of times people don't pursue understanding because they're afraid that if they understand why somebody does something or behaves the way they behave, that means they agree with the behavior. That's not the truth. We can certainly understand somebody, and really, I mean, that's what causes people to feel safe, is when the other person really is seeking to understand where they're coming from. So
that's the definition of validation, right? Essentially,
well,
part of validation.
I mean, validation is acknowledging the feelings. It's not the same as pursuing understanding.
Okay, that's good though. Explain that, because I think that's a good point. Validation versus understanding, because sometimes I feel like I want to create a place of understanding, but it sounds like, or I want to validate, but it sounds like they're two different things, where I get them confused sometimes as the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, so validating somebody's feeling is just that, is saying your feelings are valid, and it's creating the that it's okay to have those feelings. Even I think people often feel like, oh, I shouldn't be mad, I shouldn't be, so we should on ourselves, but we're not actually acknowledging the fact that, like, I feel these feelings. So validation is acknowledging and making it okay to feel those feelings. The pursuit of understanding is the why. It's not the fact that you have those feelings. The understanding is the why behind where those feelings are coming from. On Triggers to Triumph, it's understanding the root, right? So, you're dealing with a parent. Your parent is fully triggered, and they're just going off, and you're like, okay, what's happening here? But if I understand, the history, if I understand the beginning, the root of what caused those kind of feelings, then I can have a little bit more compassion and empathy for the behavior, right? The behavior in the trigger. Then I can also help somebody create a new story, because I'm not going to repeat. We're in this dynamic where you're triggered. We don't have to repeat the same story from your past. We can create a new one together. So it's being a part of somebody's new story. It requires time, it requires communication, and it requires the ability to not own somebody else's shit.
It's really good. Well, that's awesome. Thank you for that sharing, my love. Appreciate you and your wisdom. She's an incredible mentor, incredible business partner. It's why we have what we have and why we've been so successful together, working together as one flesh in unity. And it was a blessing and a privilege to get to do the wedding this past weekend as one flesh together. We both officiated the wedding. It was cool. It's always amazing and a blessing to do that together. So have a great week. This has been an amazing time of wisdom this morning and getting the perspective from a woman, getting perspective from my beautiful wife and dear friend and mentor, my best friend and mentor. I love my queen, Chantel. Have a great day, y'all, and we will see you tomorrow. Blessings.